Today, I'm going to show you in this video exactly what it means to do a fit. Basically, that means you take all the materials that go, your image, go inside of your frame, your image, your acrylic, or your glass, and your foam core, your backing, all that stuff, your mat, and you put it all together and you put the hanger on the back so you can hang on the wall. That's what's called a fit in our industry. This is what you received a lot of times. You received your frame, it's got all the goodies trapped inside of the frame, your acrylics in here, your mats in here, maybe even your image, everything's in here. We have it held in with these bendable tabs. So you bend these tabs up out of the way. I like to get them back pretty snug against the frame. It makes getting the stuff in and out easier. So I'm going to take all the goodies out of the frame, move my frame aside. So, kind of start going through here, and this is what we have. Here's the acrylic. It may or may not have, it may just be white just like it is on this side, or it may have some other stuff on the other side of it, depending on where we cut it out of the sheet. But this is your acrylic. It's like the glass, so it's a hard board. Basically, what we start with here is we need to get this protective coating off of both sides. So to do that, you can start by, if you take a piece of tape and you go over the edge of it. Okay, once I get it started, I'm going to be really cautious to not touch the acrylic underneath and put any fingerprints on it. I have basically a tube, a roll, something hard that that's round that you can roll this off of. It's easier than just manhandling it and pulling it off. So I'm going to roll it off of here, like that. And you can undo it off of your roll, and that's that. So basically I have this kind of open and exposed now. So now I can grab the art that I had, and you may have got it looking just like this from us, where you had a mat and you had us print something for you, and so it's perfectly centered on here and it fits just behind your mat and everything's totally good to go. Or you may have it where you have your own artwork and you're going to have to do a hinge or use the other kind of board where we sent you, where it's a permanent board and you mount your piece down or you hinge it down, which you can find in another video if you need to go and go that route. But basically this is just showing you more the fit. So we have our mat, we have our art, and we have the first side of our acrylic peeled. So we're going to kind of shake off any debris. You can kind of blow it off. Just be careful not to spit on either of these things. If you just use your mouth to blow it off, you can use compressed air. But at any rate, I close that up and set it back down. I'm going to do the same thing again, and I'm going to try to get this thing getting peeled. Get it started again and go through the rolling off. Now you can be as picky as you want to be about getting debris out from underneath this thing. I like to take a paintbrush, and I like to have a paintbrush that I can kind of go in here and just kind of scrape out anything that I see that I don't like. And I can kind of scrape out any debris and get out any debris and look all around for anything that might be ugly inside of there that you want to get out. So, but that being said, I have it all clean and it's just as good as I want it to be, and it looks great. I got my acrylic on there, my mat's in there, my art's in there. I just need to put it back in the frame. So I'm going to do that, and I'm just going to set my frame back down on top of here. And you can do it the other way too. You could move this out of the way and you could set the frame down, and then you could take the art and you can just kind of set it down. It kind of depends on how big the piece is. If it's small like this, it's pretty easy to handle either direction, either way, whether you set it in or set the frame on it. But at any rate, now I'm going to bend these bendable tabs back down. Make sure they're nice and snug. And there you go. You have a framed piece inside of, or framed art inside of your frame. So now I'm going to go and I'm going to show you how to put the wire on the back of this frame. So here we have the back of the frame where we're going to put the wire on. So I have my wire, I have my one-hole hangers, and I have my screws. So the typical amount that you want to measure, or that you want to put your hooks down on the back of a frame, is about 1/3 of the way. So I'm going to measure this. It's 12 inches, or 1/3 of that is 12. So I'm going to make just a little mark here at 4 inches from 12 on both sides. And I'm not going to drill a tapping hole. Most of our frames, you're never going to need to drill yourself a tapping hole. You can just kind of put these hooks in. So these, let me share one thing. There is an up and a down to these. There is a perfectly flat side to one of these, and there's the side that kind of goes down and makes a dip. So you want to always make sure that you put these in with the flat side down, basically, when you put it into the meat. So I'm going to get my screw loaded on my gun here, and you could do this with just a screwdriver if that's what you had. And I'm going to kind of get it in the center of that pretty close. I'm going to drill that in. I'm going to bring it up totally snug, and then I'm going to back it off to where this thing moves freely on its own. And I'll explain why we do that here in a minute. Then I'm going to do the other side. Nice and snug, can't move it. Back it off a little bit, now I can move it. Okay. So now I'm going to put the wire in here. So on the screen, you're going to notice, and right now, that there's a great knot for you to hesitate on and see how to tie the knot that I'm about to tie. So keep looking at that knot. You can study that knot. I'm just going through what it takes to make that knot on this while you're looking at that part of the screen and studying that knot. Okay, so you've had enough time to look at that knot here for a minute. Now we're back. I've completed one side of that knot that you watched, or that you saw in the paper up there, or how to do that knot. So now that you know how to do the knot, basically I've adhered the knot to one side and I have the tag sticking out here. So I'm going to wrap that edge around, or that tag line around here. And then I'm going to cut off, probably go about 4 times around, and then I snip that little extra piece off. So now what I'm going to do is, like every single picture frame I ever hang, I hang it on 2 wires. Now let me go back to tell you why I didn't put these down snug. I didn't put these down snug so that when I put this wire wherever I want, this one-hole hanger freely goes wherever it wants to go. It's not locked down in some position over here. When I pull on the wire moves, but the hanger doesn't. That's why you want to leave these just to where they swivel a tiny bit. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to assume I'm not going to hang this on one hook like this in the wall. I'm going to hang it on 2 hooks. And couple of reasons I want to hang it on 2 hooks. One, it makes it to where it doesn't get knocked off the wall as easily, and it also makes it to where it stays centered on your wall. It doesn't get cattywampus on your wall as easy because it's got 2 points to hang from. So that being said, I have my knot finished. I'm going to pull up on this at about 45 degrees and pinch down at the wire and pull it across to the other side. I'm going to eyeball where I think it's going to make this same 45-degree angle over here, and I'm going to pinch it down with my thumb. Then I'm going to switch hands. I'm going to kind of make a loop in the knot, or a loop in the wire right here where I know it's going to loop through that one hole. And I'm going to snip off some of this. I don't need all this extra wire hanging out getting in my way. Cut that off. So now I still have this thing bent where I know that this mark should go. So I'm going to do that knot again that you watched. And I like to have wire nose pliers because I can really pull on these knots and get them nice and snug. And after I get it snug that way, then I typically come back and I pull on it with just the wire that I'm going to hang on, and it kind of just tightens up all those knots. And I go about wrapping that around there a few more times and snipping that off, and I am all set. This thing will hang perfectly on the wall and be ready to go. Last thing you have to do, take the bumpers that we send, and these are basically just to protect your wall from getting scuffed and whatnot, so you can put those at the bottom of the frame. And you are all done with that piece right there. Ready to go, ready to hang that thing on the wall.